guys, Sandra here from Create in Spain. I apologise for the lighting. It's full-on sunshine coming in through my front window, and if I open the window, everyone's going to get blinded. Right, this is my Scan and Cut CM600, and it's time to say goodbye to it. I've enjoyed using this little machine. I think it does a great job. This was a second-hand one that I picked up. It's worked fine. It's cut materials far better than I ever thought it would. It has been very, very good to test out. But it's time to say goodbye to it. For my birthday, okay, that was my very first cut. Now, you may or may not have noticed, just a quick okay there, and I'm going to remove the mat. You may have noticed that the material that I've got on my mat is not the stuff that comes out of the packet. And that is because I want to make sure it can cut what I put on there out of my materials rather than somebody else's. And apart from the fact that that is somewhat stickier than I've been used to, so my card is all curved now, it does appear to have cut that word perfectly. So let's see if I can actually get this off of the mat perfectly by the looks of things. Now, what I wanted to do, because this is an auto blade, obviously, is check to see how much damage is done to the mat itself, whether the auto blade has got it right. And it does appear to have got it right. Yes, you can see where it has cut into the mat very slightly. And yes, you can see right through it. It's cut perhaps a little deeper than I would normally cut. So one thing that I might expect with this machine is for it to go through the mats a little bit more quickly. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's cut the word out perfectly. Okay, so the next test I'm going to do for this is I have the same weight paper, but this one is an image that I want to scan and cut around. I want to see how accurate that's going to be without me messing around with any settings or doing anything to it at all. It's not an image I'm bothered about, but I just want to see what's going to happen. It's got no excuse not to do it properly because this is a clean, clear image on a white background. And I'm putting the mat in. That's so quiet for loading. That does make me laugh. I want a direct cut, and I want to take the information from the machine, and I want to start, and it's now scanning. There we are, it has the image picked out nicely. It does appear to have cut it perfectly and cut exactly around the outside of it. Now with this particular machine you get a chance of smoothing, so if you have something like this, only more jagged and everything, you have a chance of just smoothing the lines out a little bit so that you don't go in, out, in, out, in, out, unless you really want to. So that's an option that you don't have with the CM600. So yeah, from my first attempts, I'd say that is pretty good. My worry might be that it goes through mats a little bit quicker, perhaps. But that's difficult to judge because those cuts, although you can actually see daylight through them, and you can't because of the window in front of me, I can see daylight through them if I hold it up to the light. They're still not deep cuts. So as long as it doesn't cut deeper than that into the mat, it shouldn't really be a problem. So what I want to do now is to try cutting some foam and cut a shape from it. So I think that will be my next test. So I went into the scan and cut screen and I picked out some text which was already in there, and I put on some 2mm foam and I've just done an automatic cut. It did 2 passes, but this is the result. And I'm just going to read the centre pieces of this face out. This has got a little smiley face in it. There we go. And that was completely automatic. So this is obviously 2 separate little pieces. It's cut it flawlessly. Whether I can get it off the mat's another matter. Yeah. Okay. Just going to weed a tiny little bit out of that, eh? It's cut, I just got to take it out. There we have it. Okay, so awesome. And as I said, that was cut completely automatically. Has it done anything to the mat? It has done nothing to the mat whatsoever that I can see. When I put the when I put the foam in, it did instruct me to change the scan setting to lever in position number 2 because it's a thicker material. But that is a 2mm foam, and that's how well it cut it. So that's pretty impressive. So to start off with, I'm thinking that this is doing pretty well. Now the time test will be the true test of this. If I am still happy in 6 months' time, if my blades still work, if my mat still works in 6 months' time, whatever, that's going to be the true test. For the time being, yeah, I'm really happy. It's quiet, it cuts through foam, it cuts through card, it scans well. The screen is a definite improvement. Okay, so that is your home screen, and for the patterns, it's worthwhile noticing that this one does have quite a lot more patterns. I'm not overly impressed with the fonts, however. These are not fonts that I would say are brilliant, but it doesn't matter to me because I'll be designing in shortcuts a lot anyway, and I will be using my own fonts. So I have lots and lots of fonts which are a lot better than these and which I would prefer to use. So, but that's just me. There are some interesting frame designs. Now these you probably can't see too clearly. These are quite faint on the screen. I would say that what they could have done is made these more obvious on the screen. Most of the screen you can see quite clearly, quite easily. This you would probably have to peer at a little more to get a good view. I mean, why didn't they make it so that it was like that it stood out? But that's a software issue, I suspect, rather than anything else. And they may well adjust that at some point. So you have all your normal shapes that we had before in the CM600, and possibly a few more. I'm not sure if this particular selection has got any more in it. I recognise most of them, I think. And then we have more in the general patterns, and we have a few things that were not available before. There's a box design or two. There's some quite unusual designs in here for what I presume are layouts for scrapbooking and so on and so forth. Not my particular area of expertise, but you know, they are there. and there are quite a lot of other normal patterns to choose from, which I would class as being pretty useful. Things like generic leaves and flowers are useful things to have, and it means that you can create a certain number of background items, for example if you're card making or scrapbooking, without even thinking about going into software and picking designs to do and messing around with them. So that in itself is pretty good. The one thing that I would say that would probably be a reasonable idea for some people at least is to go for a larger mat. The way that it makes a difference is if you're doing things like envelopes, because those you sometimes need larger pieces of paper. And whereas with, for example, my silver bullet, I can put a huge piece of paper on my silver bullet and cut it, no problem. With this, I would be stuck for the size unless I choose to buy a larger mat. I couldn't possibly leave you without giving you a little prezzy. Okay, I have worked out the file for the registration marks for the SDX 1200. So you have the top marks and then you have another load of marks at the base. Now the way that I've done the file for this is basically to put a thin strip in the file design so that you can line it up with the top edge and you can get it in precisely the right place. It will be the right width for the mat, so you simply line it up with the top, job done. What I suggest you do is kiss cut it out of black vinyl, and then you can just do what I did to this mat, stick the pieces on. That's it. Really, really nice and simple to do. When it comes to the bottom edge of these mats, they have more gap here. So what you do is you use the strip to line up with this edge here. Basically, there is a 5mm gap between all these shapes and the black line there. And the same at the top end, it's 5mm. So I have literally just put a line in that gives a space of the 5mm to guide you. Now, in case you are wondering, I have also, I believe, worked out the markings for the 24-inch mat. However, I can give you the file for that, but I haven't tested it. I do not have a 24-inch mat. I don't have at the moment a 24-inch piece of plastic to test it on anyway, and my machine is still under warranty because I've only just got it, so I'm not going to risk voiding my warranty. I don't think using a different mat, which is the same thickness, basically the same material as the original mat, is going to be an issue, but I don't want anyone claiming that it is. So don't do this if you have a brand new machine. Wait till your warranties run out and then you won't be losing anything if anything goes wrong, will you? So it's up to you. If you want to try it out, I will include the file. If you don't want to bother, that's fine. But this particular setup has been tested and it works. So there we go. What I would suggest is that you make a template of your outer square and your inner square, your workspace if you like, and make that so you can transfer it to your mat and add the marks afterwards, because it does make it reasonably easy to do that. And it means you can also see where you're supposed to be putting your paper or your card, whatever it is you're using. But for that, you really don't need to have any kind of help from me, because it's simply a square. Measure what you've got and just copy it. It's not exactly rocket science. So that is it. I hope you've found that handy, useful. I thought maybe, since I am completely unbiased, that my opinion on these machines since I've used both Silhouette Cameo and the Silver Bullet and the Silver Bullet Platinum, might actually be valuable. So there we are. Enjoy your day. I'll see you again soon. Take care now.